Welcome to As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome metal drummer Mason Beard to the podcast. Mason is currently in two bands, Symphony of Heaven and Bermuda's Burden. Mason talks about growing up without a metal scene, the process of discovering new music, his desire to tour, and more. Links to both bands will be in the show notes. While you're checking out the show notes, make sure you find the links to join the podcast on Discord, Substack, and Patreon. Lots of cool end-of-the-year stuff happening on all those platforms, so come join the fun. Enjoy today's chat with Mason Beard. Are you currently in Indiana?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So is that where you grew up?
Yeah, pretty much.
Where in?
So I still live in this small little area. It's about an hour west of Indianapolis. It's a town of like 500 people.
Okay.
Nothing here. So I've been in this same area pretty much my whole life. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
What was growing up like?
Just, grew up in the church, that sort of thing. Nothing too crazy. Just found drums and metal music the same year, and I pretty much never looked back.
Yeah. What was that discovery of both? I guess.
Just wanted to play drums, but I didn't get into it till I was about 13. So that's pretty much when I started playing. Was like late. I was 13. I took piano for a few years, but for the life of me, that didn't stick. Probably should have paid a bit more attention. But for metal, man, it was POD was the start for me, I'd say.
Okay.
And Satellite is a all-time classic in my book, which is funny because then I jumped from that to Living Sacrifice pretty quick.
Yeah. POD at
pretty
that
big
time
gap
was
there.
Yeah, but they were like, I mean, I remember when that Southtown video came out, but like those dudes are wearing like Zao and No Innocent Victim t-shirts, and that's on like MTV, and you're like, right. Yes, introduce the masses to Zao because that's Absolutely. The natural order of things.
It really is. It's weird that like there was that connection with those bands for the longest time, but it's like musically, there is very little that brings them together. You know?
Yeah.
I do love Zao myself. That was another one that was pretty quick, and I was behind the 8 ball, and a lot of that stuff was kind of done when I was like coming up.
Right.
But it's cool. Like in retrospect, it's sick stuff. Hearing stories from the Zao camp and Living Sacrifice, it's just hearing those little stories is always I've always appreciated. I'm a big nerd too, so I just appreciate small details and things like that.
Yeah, for sure. Was there any sort of scene localized as soon as you got into this? What was your like? Okay, this heavy music exists, Christian metal exists.
Yeah.
Is there something happening locally for me to be a part of?
To be honest with you, I'm still struggling to find it. Like here in Indiana, it's just dead pretty much. Like musically, there's Indianapolis, and the bands who are playing now are the bands who've been playing, forever because it's the same group of people.
Yeah.
There's Fort Wayne, and then there's Evansville, and it's that's pretty much it from what I understand. I don't know. I think the biggest bands in the last, 10 something years that have come out of this, maybe 20 years, arguably, like out of this area has been like Haste the Day.
Yeah.
And I think the Contortionist is from here as well. That's all I can think of.
Man.
So, which both are excellent bands. I'm looking forward to seeing Haste the Day here. Later this month. That's going to be sick.
That's cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's always like, I feel like people always find pockets of music, but like Yeah, like I'm from DC, like I grew up in that area. So it's like kind of spoiled by like, yeah, there's a great music scene right here. Like
Absolutely.
and then even like you could just drive out. It's like Baltimore's not far. You could go to Richmond or Philadelphia, and it's like you could. And VFWs are always putting on shows, and it's like Zayo and Shai Hulud are in a church basement, and that's normal. But like, yeah, I imagine it like small town Indiana, and it's just you're 13, you can't. And if like I was 13, and my dad was like, "I'll drive you to the show." Yeah, if your parents are like, "I'm not going to a metal show," you're not going to a VFW hall 2 hours away.
They took me every now and again to see some bands like in Indianapolis, but that was about the extent of it. So it wasn't anything crazy. Yeah, it's like like you were saying, the East Coast got like the big punk hardcore scene, and like West Coast you got thrash metal, and down south, like even more south, you have all sorts of stuff. But just here, it's just like this dead space of music. It's the weirdest thing. It's like jazz and country are pretty much all that people play.
Oh man. Well, when you're coming up through like high school as a drummer, were there people that you went to school with or youth group with that you were trying to form bands with, or was it just like a wasteland still?
So I was homeschooled actually.
Okay.
But, there were still people who every now and again I tried and I started things with, and it just didn't work. You know, like there was a few things, bad band names that were thrown about, and it will never see the light of day. Never was any music recorded, so it's not worth even discussing. But eventually, struck gold. Started with I joined Symphony of Heaven. Pretty much, that was first real band. So, but yeah. Yeah. Been stuck with them since. Like I said, I'm an hour west of Indianapolis, and they're Symphony's based in Evansville area, which is about 3 hours south. So it was basically just through the internet, same circles. Symphony started as a solo project, so I met Logan through Twitter when it was called Twitter, and we discussed, similar things like Christian black metal, death metal, that sort of thing, and I did an interview with him for Indie Vision Music back when I used to write for them for a time. I think I had like 200 articles. Nice. Actually, the last article I published was that is still up on the site, was the review of the first album for Symphony of Heaven.
Oh man.
So that's kind of ironic that I used to write about him and then I joined the band. But yeah, so that's kind of how we met. He got a gig lined up with Audio Feed 2019, and he needed a drummer, and that I had offered before if he ever wanted somebody to play for him, I would do it, and sure enough, that's how it worked out. So,
nice.
Yeah,
nice. How were you? I mean, you're younger than I am, so like, but how are you like discovering like Christian black metal and like that scene, and like where were your avenues where you were just like diving in?
That's a interesting one. It'd probably be more like it was just streaming services at the time. Probably Wikipedia, which is half that. I realize now half that stuff isn't even accurate.
Right.
But that's a lot of it. Is just like, who can I listen to today on the list of Christian metal artists here? Let's see. I just went through it and found the ones I liked and a lot of ones I didn't like. It's a discussion a lot with our community. It's like there's good metal and there's bad metal, and the good metal is like the cream of the crop type deal. It's the same with Christian metal. It's just a lot smaller of a pond, so it's a lot easier to access, I guess. But that's that. I would say that like Pandora, I think, was a big one for me at the time.
Yeah.
So, and YouTube, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, I watched that, like trying to do research on Zayo and stuff. There's a 3-hour documentary on. Man, I watched that all the time. That was, I just stream it to YouTube. I would love to get a DVD copy, but
nice. Yeah. I got the DVD copy.
Oh heck yeah!
Yeah,
That's all.
it's pretty good. Yeah,
it's
yeah. It's really long. Yeah. So is the 5 Iron Frenzy one's really long too. That one's also like, it's like 2.5 hours or something, and you're just like, this didn't need to be this long. I mean, it's great. Like, I love it, but I'm like, I don't want to sit down and watch like Iron that's that long, right? Like,
exactly. And it's like, well, like, think of it this way. It's like the Zayo documentary. That wasn't even, I mean, there's still like 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 or 6 albums that have come after that.
Yeah. Right.
That's insane to think about, that they condensed like 10 years of a band into a 3-hour documentary, and there's been another 20 or so since then. So
yeah, because it's like Funeral of God era. I think that DVD came out.
Yeah, I think it was like 05, I think, is when it dropped, and then the next year. So it's just weird to think about.
I think there's been a lot less drama since then. So
yeah, it seems like it. So it'd probably be a pretty quick story. But but
everybody is stable now.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Was Symphony in Heaven already signed with Rottweiler when you joined?
No. So that was it was signed to a little label called Nozzle Recordings. Which was owned by Mike Larson of the band Frost Like Ashes, which big Christian black metal band, if you want to call it that, at the time. And so, yeah, he signed that project. And then I joined the band at that time, right before it was this weird deal where Rottweiler kind of was like the parent company to Nozzle. So they distributed a lot of their stuff, but it wasn't like an official thing. And then eventually, when that sub-label folded, then that's when we signed to Rottweiler. So
Gotcha.
For the record, we're independent now. So
Okay. So your release in 21 was your final one with them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Maniacal and Tropic Discordium.
Yeah. Was that just kind of like the contract is over and so free agents, or is just like mutual parting of the ways? And
so it's still kind of a weird topic. I don't know how much I can go into, but yeah, it kind of was when there was new ownership. Let's put it that way. It was bought out. So we signed a deal with the new ownership, and after a certain amount of time, we just decided that it didn't seem to be. I don't want to say beneficial, but basically we didn't feel it was as beneficial as we thought it would. Still love those guys. Got nothing against them or anything, but we really just wanted to try our hand at doing this independent, seeing what we could do with ourselves. Cause we're from Indiana. There's a big, like stereotype with the redneck population down here, so we're kind of used to the DIY already. So it just kind of fits with our personalities.
Nice. Talk to me about the pandemic and navigating band life. Pandemic. I don't know what like lockdown or how long things lasted in Indiana, because like talking to European bands, it's like the country did this, and I'm like, no, we were like everybody's its own independent user here. Like,
it was kind of interesting. We actually, so that was the funny thing, is we started tracking that album, Maniacal, the weekend everything shut down.
Oh man!
So I was down 3 hours away from home recording drums for the album, and we kind of did it in segments because we live so far away. We got to get as much done in a short period of time. So I started tracking the first couple songs, and basically I drove home, and then I didn't leave my house for quite a while, at least. I don't even remember how long it was. A few months, Then eventually we decided to start working on it again. I risked it. We decided to risk it and go down track some more and just work at it slowly. Eventually things cleared up and it wasn't as big a deal. But yeah, as long as nobody was actively sick, it wasn't a problem. So for us, but we got it done eventually, and I listen to it every now and again. I'm pretty proud of it, but it's a first album for sure. So there's always something to go back and look back on, and like, oh, I wish I could have done that better.
Yeah. Did having things get locked down change the songs anyway, or your approach? You're just like, oh, now that we have more time, let's do this thing, or?
Yes, I spent a lot more time practicing than I did previously. And so I think my skills improved as the album kind of progressed in the recording phase, which was awesome because before it took me hours and hours to understand what a metronome was and how to like actually lock into that, and then practicing for months straight. It was pretty it worked out in my favor. And I've tried to maintain that pretty much ever since. So
yeah, that's definitely a skill that like the first time you try, you're like, oh, I have no idea what I'm doing as a musician.
Oh, it's so painful. Like you think
you're good you think you're good on your timing, and then you're like, no, I suck.
Yeah, it was horrible. And I remember one of the songs I had to learn for the live set was in 6/4 timing. So, and I'm like, I barely understand 4/4 timing. So how to do this? That was a learning curve for sure. So I credit to anybody who could do that just naturally, but that wasn't me. So that took a lot of training. But
yeah, that album came out end of December of 21. Kind of a good time as like things were fully open up. Like you guys able to like, I don't know, reap some awards. I don't know if you guys went on tour for that album, but.
No, we didn't. We still haven't toured, unfortunately. I would love to, but it's like the shows that we play have kind of had to be like, we kind of build them up as events, I guess is the way to put it. Just because when we started playing live, that's kind of what we've been saddled with, is tours aren't as viable, I guess, anymore, especially for a smaller band. Like we'll try and do runs here and there, but it hasn't been any like major touring.
Is that just born out of like people have real lives and just like the music thing is a fun thing more than just like it's tough for an indie band and we can't get on bills?
It's a little bit of both, honestly. It is, we have Logan's got a wife and 3 kids and full-time job, and I just graduated college, so it's just there's a lot going on type deal. So it's a combination of those, plus the post-pandemic, everything's still kind of in this weird limbo state at times, but we're making do with what we can, so can't complain. Would you graduate with your degree in? Bachelor's in marketing.
Okay,
so
cool.
So I was hoping that would help, and so far making the most of it.
You also just I don't know if recently, but you joined this band Bermuda's Burden. Talk about joining that band.
So that was it was about a year ago. So it was August 2022. I had just finished playing with the band Temoritus, which was a technical metal band, and I've always had this weird thing where I'm in like 2 bands at once with live bands, it seems. So as soon as that ended, I was like, oh, I should look for something else to do, I guess. And then sure enough, they had just kind of fired their drummer. It was kind of like a mutual thing. They were about to fire him and he was about to quit, sort of thing. So it was a weird combination. So, and I knew their drummer. I had recommended he join because I was too busy to do it at the time. And then that kind of worked out. Stars kind of aligned, and yeah, been with them since pretty much. So
nice.
Yeah.
I see they have a show coming up in October. Is that a situation where touring might be more viable, or?
Yeah, that one's a lot more viable, I'd say. I think as far as touring goes, all of us are, single, not married, no kids, things like that. So kind of works out.
Yeah.
for a touring lifestyle, I suppose. But
yeah. Are you just open to trying to see which music project works, like unconcerned, or like, I don't know, split focused? Is it just like enjoy this while I can, or?
Yeah, I think for me, I just like having that variety. I feel like I have a range of musical ability. Like with drumming, it's I'm not like the blast beat drummer. I can do them pretty well, but it's not like my favorite thing. I like groove. I like a lot of prog bands. So like we already talked, my taste ranges from like POD to the Death, or Leprous is one of my favorite bands. I don't know if you've heard of them, but I've got a wide taste in music, so I try my hand at different things, trying to leave behind this I don't know, kind of a legacy, I guess is the way to put it. That might be a bit grandiose in reality, but yeah. Symphony of Heaven just released a new single. You sent me a track from Bermuda's Burden. Like, what's this year and the future look like musically for you on those projects? So for Symphony of Heaven, we have a new EP that we are currently working on. I'm going to probably, once we're done with this, I'm going to start editing one of the tracks with my drums and finish that up. So that we're hoping that'll come out next year somewhere, I don't know, hopefully first quarter, maybe early second quarter of the year. So we'll see about that, but it's going to be 4 or 5 song EP and probably our best stuff. I like to think it's our best stuff. We've had a lot of changes in the lineup in the last couple of years, so it's been interesting trying to circumvent that and work around it, and it'll work out the way it's supposed to. With Bermuda's Burden, we have 2 new songs coming out on the 13th. Yeah, October 13th. So like next week, as at the time we're recording this. Looking forward to see those released. And after that, we're gonna start working on what I'm hoping is to be another Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our intro music was written and composed by Jeremy Hunt. The As the Story Grows theme is by Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and give us a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can join us at patreon.com/asthestorygrows. Be a part of our community and join the ongoing conversation over on Discord. If you enjoy this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.